stop. Before you scrape that cutting board into the trash, look at what's actually on it. There are at least 5 food plants in most American kitchens right now that will grow back into full harvests from the exact piece you're about to throw away. Not seeds, not cuttings from a garden catalog, the scrap itself. You've been paying grocery store prices for plants that regrow for free from what you just tossed. A bunch of green onions costs $2.49 at Kroger. The root end you cut off and threw in the bin will produce 3 more harvests and a glass of tap water on your windowsill. Over a year, the average American household throws away around $1,500 worth of food, according to USDA Economic Research Service data. A meaningful chunk of that is plant material that would regrow if you handled it correctly. Today, 5 kitchen scraps that produce food forever. The exact water levels, the exact timing, the exact light, and the 3 mistakes that rot every scrap you try. By the end of this video, you'll be able to start your first regrowth jar tonight with what's already in your kitchen drawer. No special equipment, no trip to the garden center. Stay to number 1, because it's the one scrap almost every American kitchen has in the crisper drawer right now. And it produces fresh harvests for up to 18 months from a piece the size of a golf ball. Here's what the grocery supply chain hopes you never figure out. The produce aisle is built on a very specific assumption that when you eat the plant, you're done with it. The roots, the crown, the base, the core. Trash. Compost at best. But plant biology doesn't work that way. Many of the vegetables you buy weekly have what botanists call a basal meristem, a zone of active cell division at the base of the plant that keeps producing new leaves, stems, or bulbs as long as it has water, light, and a little time. You don't need to plant a seed. You don't need to root a cutting. The regrowth tissue is already alive on your cutting board. This phenomenon has a name in horticulture: cut and come again, and it's been documented for decades. Research from the University of Georgia Cooperative Extension and Penn State Extension has confirmed it specifically for green onions, celery, lettuce, and bok choy. A 2019 publication in Hort Technology by researchers at Cornell University tested basal regeneration rates in leafy greens and found viable regrowth in over 80% of properly handled samples. The plants don't know they've been sold at a grocery store. They just know the top got cut off, and basal meristem tissue responds the way it always does, by pushing new growth. There's a woman at the farmer's market I go to near me. She's in her 70s, sells heirloom tomato starts in April, and cut herbs from May through October. One Saturday, I asked her how she keeps her kitchen stocked with greens in winter when her garden's under snow. She pulled out her phone, showed me a photo of her kitchen windowsill. 6 mason jars, green onions, celery base, romaine heart, bok choy crown, a knob of ginger in damp moss. "I haven't bought green onions in 11 years, she said. 11 years. I asked her what her secret was. She said 3 words. Change the water. We'll come back to that. Number 5. Green onions, also called scallions. The easiest regrowth scrap in any American kitchen, and the one most people already half know about but do wrong. Here's what you need. The white root end, about 2 inches long, with the roots still attached. A small glass jar. Room temperature tap water you've let sit uncovered for 24 hours, so the chlorine dissipates. That single step, letting the chlorine off gas, is what separates a scrap that keeps producing from a scrap that turns to slime by day 5. Research from the University of California Cooperative Extension on home hydroponic culture confirms that chlorinated municipal water reduces root viability in propagation jars, especially during the first 72 hours after cutting. Place the root ends upright in the jar. Add water so it covers the roots, but stops about a 1/4 inch below the white stem base. Never submerge the stem. Set it in bright, indirect light. A north-facing or east-facing windowsill works. South-facing direct sun overheats the water and kills the roots within 3 days. Change the water every 48 hours. Not every week, every 48 hours. Stagnant water is where the whole system fails. In 7 to 10 days, you'll have green tops tall enough to trim. Cut what you need, leave an inch above the white, and they regrow again. You'll get 3 to 4 productive cycles before the flavor weakens. Value reframing. A $2.49 bunch from the store becomes roughly $10 worth of green onions from the exact root end you would have thrown away. Number 4 surprises people because most Americans buy it, use the stalks, and trash the part that's actually the factory. Number 4. Celery base. The pale, knobby bottom 1.5 inch you slice off before chopping stalks for soup. Save that base. Don't trim it. Don't split it. Set it cut side up in a shallow bowl with about a 1/2 inch of water. Just the bottom touching water. Bright indirect light again. South windowsills bleach and cook it. Within 4 days, you'll see pale, yellow-green leaves emerging from the center. Within 10 days, you'll have the beginnings of a new celery heart. Change the water every 2 days, exactly like the onions. After 2 weeks, you have a choice. You can keep harvesting the inner leaves for soups and stalks directly from the water, or you can transplant the base into a 6-inch pot with regular potting mix once the root nubs are visible at the bottom. In soil, it keeps producing for months. The inner leaves are where most of the flavor lives anyway. Chefs call that part the celery heart and charge extra for it. You're growing it for free from the piece of celery you bought last Tuesday. Quick question before we get to the top 3. What's the one kitchen scrap you've tried to regrow that completely failed on you? Drop it in the comments. I'll read every single one. And if it's one of the fixable failures, it's probably mistake number 2 down below. Number 3, Romaine lettuce heart. The bottom 2 inches with the tight base where the leaves all emerge from. This one has a reputation for disappointing people, and the reputation is mostly earned, because almost everyone does it wrong. They drop the whole stump in water, leaves flopping everywhere, and watch it turn to brown mush in a week. Here's the fix. Before you set it in water, slice a clean, thin layer off the very bottom of the base with a sharp knife. Fresh cut, clean exposed tissue. That single cut activates the basal meristem the same way trimming a flower stem does. It removes oxidized cells and exposes fresh vascular tissue that can take up water efficiently. Then, set the base in a shallow dish with about 3/4 inch of water. Cut side down, leaves trimmed back to about 1 inch above the base. Bright indirect light. Water changed every 48 hours. You'll see new leaves emerging from the center within 72 hours. Within 10 to 14 days, you'll have a small head of tender romaine leaves. Not a full grocery store head, be honest about that, but enough to add to 2 or 3 salads per week from one scrap. Honest limit. Romaine regrows well for 1 productive cycle, sometimes 2. After that, the leaves get bitter and small. This is because the plant is operating on stored energy in the base, with no root system to take in new nutrients. Compost the spent base and start a new one from your next romaine heart. It's not infinite, but since you were going to throw the base away anyway, every leaf is free. Now, if this is genuinely saving you money, hit subscribe. We cover one of these $0 garden moves every week, and the next few videos go deep on container food for small spaces. Number 2. Bok choy crown. This one's the sleeper, the one almost no American gardener tries, and it's the most productive scrap on this entire list per square inch of windowsill space. When you chop a head of bok choy for a stir-fry, you cut off the base where all the stalks meet. That base, about 1.5 inches tall, is the entire regrowth engine of the plant. Do not throw it away. Penn State Extension lists bok choy as one of the most reliable cut-and-come-again vegetables for indoor culture, with regrowth cycles documented over 8 to 12 weeks under proper conditions. Set it in a shallow bowl with 1/2 inch of water. Cut side up, roots, or base down. Bright indirect light. Change the water every 48 hours. Within 4 days, you'll see pale green leaves pushing up from the center. Within 10 days, you have a full miniature rosette of new bok choy leaves, not as big as the grocery store head, but tender, sweeter than mature bok choy, and ready to cut into a stir-fry, a soup, or a salad. One bok choy crown will produce 2 to 3 harvest cycles in water. If you transplant into potting mix at the 3-week mark when the roots are visible, you can run it for 2 to 3 months as a continuous cut-and-come-again green in a 6-inch pot. That's one $1.99 head of bok choy becoming roughly $15 to $20 worth of fresh greens over a single winter. Before we get to number 1, 3 mistakes that will rot every single scrap you try. Write these down. This is where 80% of people give up on regrowing, and all 3 are fixable in 30 seconds. Mistake 1. Using water straight from the tap. Chlorine and chloramine in municipal tap water damages the exposed root and basal tissue on a scrap. The plant can't reset. You'll see brown slimy rot at the base within 4 to 5 days. Fix. Fill your glass or jar with tap water. Leave it on the counter uncovered for 24 hours. The chlorine off gases. Note that chloramine, used in some city water systems, doesn't off gas as easily. If you're on a chloramine system, a basic carbon filter pitcher solves it. 1 pitcher of pre-sat water on the counter handles every scrap in your kitchen. Mistake 2. Submerging too much of the scrap. The biggest killer on this whole list. Roots and the very base need water. The stem, the crown, the exposed flesh above the base do not. Submerged plant tissue rots, full stop, because waterlogged cells can't perform gas exchange. Roots and stems need oxygen to live, and constant submersion suffocates them. The rule is water touches the bottom of the scrap and nothing else. If you cannot tell where the base ends and the stem begins, start with less water, not more. You can always add water the next day. Mistake 3. Full direct sunlight. Direct sun heats the water in the jar. Warm water grows bacteria. Bacteria rots the scrap from the roots up, even if everything else is perfect. You'll smell it before you see it. A sour, swampy odor. Bright indirect light only. An east or north-facing windowsill. 2 to 3 feet back from a south window works fine. 3 mistakes. That's it. Avoid them, and every scrap on this list keeps producing. Number 1. And this is the one the farmer's market woman said she hadn't bought in 11 years. Though for her, it's not green onions. It's this one. Ginger. There is a very good chance you have a knob of ginger in your refrigerator or pantry right now. Look at it. If any of the bumpy nodes on it are starting to swell or show a pale green or pink tip, that is a live eye, and that piece of ginger will produce a continuous ginger harvest for 12 to 18 months from a single scrap. Here's the science behind those bumps. Botanists call them axillary buds, dormant meristematic tissue tucked into the joints of the rhizome. Each bud is essentially a complete shoot waiting for the right conditions. Research from the University of Hawaii College of Tropical Agriculture has documented that ginger rhizomes with 2 or more viable buds produce vegetative shoots within 6 to 8 weeks at temperatures between 70 and 85 Fahrenheit with adequate soil moisture. That's not folklore. That's the same biology that runs commercial ginger farms in Hawaii and Florida. Here's the setup. Cut a piece of ginger with at least 2 visible eyes, those axillary buds. Let the cut surface dry on the counter for 24 hours so it calluses over. This step prevents rot. Then plant the piece about an inch deep in a wide, shallow pot, 8 to 10 inches across, filled with standard potting mix. Bumps facing up. Water until the soil is evenly damp, but not soggy. Then wait. Ginger is slow. For the first 3 to 6 weeks, nothing happens on the surface. This is the stage where most people give up and assume they killed it. They didn't. The rhizome is pushing roots and new shoot tissue underground. Around week 6 to 8, a green bamboo-like shoot emerges. That's your signal everything is working. Keep the pot in bright indirect light. Water when the top inch of soil is dry. Temperature between 65 and 80 Fahrenheit. A warm kitchen windowsill is ideal. After 8 to 10 months, you can reach into the soil at the edge of the pot and break off a finger of fresh ginger whenever you need some for tea or cooking. The plant keeps producing. Replant any side rhizomes you want to expand with, and you have a ginger supply for as long as you keep the pot alive. Organic ginger at Whole Foods runs $7 to $10 per pound. A single $2 knob of ginger, planted correctly, produces around a pound of fresh rhizome per year. That math runs itself. One safety note on this one. Ginger is non-toxic and pet-safe in small amounts, but if you have a cat that chews houseplants, keep any indoor edible pot out of reach. Cats don't tend to bother ginger, but the general rule applies. When in doubt, out of reach. Now, I want to be honest about what this system is and isn't. This isn't a way to replace your grocery store produce budget. 5 kitchen scraps on a windowsill will not feed a family. What it is, a zero-cost, low-effort system that turns food waste into a steady trickle of fresh greens, aromatics, and garnishes with almost no work. Over a year, for most households, it adds up to somewhere between $80 and $200 of fresh produce that would otherwise have hit the trash. For a retired person or anyone on a fixed income, that matters. And on a cold February day when nothing's growing outside and the grocery store green onions look half dead, you walk to your kitchen window and cut your own. Picture it. Next January, 8 inches of snow outside. Inside, on your kitchen windowsill, 6 jars in a row. Green onions green and tall. Celery pushing new yellow leaves. Romaine sending up fresh, tender centers. Bok choy unfolding a new rosette. And in a shallow pot at the end of the counter, a ginger plant 2 feet tall, feeding you a finger of fresh rhizome whenever you want tea. That farmer's market woman with 11 years of free green onions. She wasn't doing anything magical. She was doing 3 things. She was cutting the scrap correctly. She was changing the water every 48 hours, and she was keeping it out of direct sun. That's it. Now you know what she knew, and you know the biology behind why it works. Basal meristems, axillary buds, gas exchange, cut and come again. Your grandmother knew the method. You also know the science. Your action this week is very specific. Next time you cook with green onions, save the root ends. Tonight, fill a glass with tap water and leave it uncovered on the counter. Tomorrow morning, put the root ends in that water. Set the glass on an east-facing windowsill. Change the water. Wednesday morning, then Friday morning. 8 days from now, you'll be cutting fresh green onions for eggs. That one experiment costs you nothing and proves the whole system works on your own windowsill. Then come back and tell me in the comments which of the 5 you're trying first. Green onions, celery, romaine, bok choy, or ginger. And which American city or region you're in, because windowsill light varies a lot by latitude, and I want to see which plants perform best for which of you. I read every single comment. If this saved you even one grocery trip, share it with a neighbor on a fixed income. They're the people this information matters most to. Now, you've got the scraps handled. But if you want to turn a bright windowsill into a real indoor food source all winter, not just a regrowing trickle, click the video on your screen. I'll see you there.